Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Town Council meeting here in Town Hall, Council Chambers. It is Monday, May 22nd, 2017. It is a little after 7 o'clock. We're going to start. Agenda item number 1, Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Agenda item number 2, roll call, please.
Councilor Auclair.
Present.
Councilor Carrasco.
Present.
Councilor Clements.
Present.
Councilor DePietro. Councilor Estrada.
Present.
Councilor McKenzie.
Present.
Councilor Manna.
Present.
Councilor Steves.
Present.
7 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, consider and accept Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, May 1st, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any abstentions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous, 7. Agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports. A, General Government, Councilor Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had 2 general government meetings since the last time we met. One was on Monday, May 15th, in regard to capital budget, and I will not read those minutes today. I have handed them out to all the councilors in hopes that you'll take a look and see if there's anything that you have any issues with, and then we will read that before the capital budget meeting on June 5th. Tonight, I'll read the joint general government and town council meeting minutes from May 17th. Meeting was held Wednesday, May 17th in the George Parent Conference Room. In attendance were myself, committee member Councilor Steves, and citizen member Nash. Also, Assessor Will Knoyer. Members Councilor Estrada and citizen member Janes could not attend. Town Manager San Angelo is excused. There was no quorum of councilors present. We called the meeting at 6:35. Agenda item number 1, accept minutes of previous meeting. I noted that the minutes from Monday's meeting were not completed. They're extensive and will take some time. The capital plan will be on the agenda for June 5th meeting, and I will get them done. Agenda item number 2, revisit and discuss addendum to Chapter 61A, right of first refusal for parcel 016-003A-00001, 268 Clements Hill Road, and entertain a motion to recommend to council for ratification. I asked if the status on the town's ability to purchase this land had changed. Citizen member Nash commented that we had done our due diligence and explored options and none are available, so he asked that the process not be held up any longer. Councilor Steves agreed that the money, approximately $700,000, was not available. Citizen member, missed something there. Nash made the motion to recommend that council vote to waive the town's right of first refusal for the parcel of land as stated in the agenda item. Councilor Steves seconded it. It was a vote by show of hands. All were in favor, 3-0. Agenda item number 3, review the marijuana questions that are on the local election ballot on June 13th, 2017. The committee looked over the ballot and found all to be in order. I noted that I believe the council will sign the warrant at the next council meeting. There was no action needed by the committee. Agenda item number 4, continued discussion and execution of a town manager's evaluation document. I provided copies of the latest updated draft as requested from the last meeting. I explained where the changes had been made. The committee then reviewed all the areas and made additional suggested changes and deletions. Most were language related, capitalization and punctuation, and some rewording for more consistency. The committee spent well over an hour reviewing the document. The scoring page was simplified. I assured the committee that all the changes would be noted in the document before it went for council approval. I would finish the revision first thing in the morning and send it to the committee for review, as well as request the council chair to add it to Monday night's agenda so that the process could move forward. I would then send it to the admin assistant to add to the packets. I added that I would send an electronic copy of one presented to the committee as well as the mocked-up version so that council would be fully aware of what had been revised. Councilor Steves made the motion to recommend the document Town of Southbridge Town Manager Evaluation as amended to the council for ratification at Monday's meeting. It was seconded by citizen member Nash. Vote by show of hands, 3-0, all in favor. Agenda item 5 was new business, and I just gave them a reminder of the next general government meeting, which is this Thursday, May 25th. And then we made a motion to adjourn, so the meeting was adjourned at 7:50. I did the minutes, and we do have a meeting. It is a very large meeting for this Thursday with 18 agenda items. You might be interested in attending. It should be quite interesting. It will be 6:30 in the Veterans Conference Room, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. B, Department of Public Works, Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I do have meeting minutes to read, but they weren't in your packets, and I apologize I didn't print any out for you all. A meeting of the DPW Subcommittee was held on Thursday, May 4th, 17, I apologize, going back a year, I don't want to do that, in the Rice Conference Room. Those in attendance were myself, Councilor DePietro, Councilor Steves, Subcommittee members Stephen Lazo, Rick Nash, and Town Manager Ron Sanangelo, and DPW Director Heather Blakely. I opened the meeting at 7:27 p.m. Agenda item number 1, review and recommend to Town Council fiscal year 2018 Department of Public Works budget. It was decided to go through the budget in sections. DPW Director Blakely opened with explanations on sections. Director Blakely commented the increases seen in section 5141 are a result of step increases. There was a slight increase in the uniform contract. Councilor DePietro asked if footwear was part of this contract. Yes, it is. Director Blakely explained section 5200. The increase was expected due to increase in rates. Councilor Steves asked why we're no longer getting solar credits. Town Manager Sanangelo explained these are moved to different departments. Other departments are getting them. Director Blakely also stated that she is working on being able to better balance out the solar credits. Citizen member Nash thanked Ms. Blakely and asked about the results of the energy savings. Director Blakely explained that they were just now starting to compare from last year. They have seen a 30% reduction in usage from last year, and they need to keep this consistent to see a cost savings. Section 5242 for data processing, the increase was due to a $1,500 licensing fee for ESRI, upgrading and staying in compliance. Councilor DePietro asked if we report to the state for commercial vehicles. Director Blakely stated no, we monitor our own for our own use with GIS. This is helpful as there have been issues with complaints, and the DPW can watch and monitor the problems that arise and solve them quickly if needed as we have the data on hand. Section 5400 for data processing. The decrease is due to converting to the town hall for a full backup. After speaking with Assessor Will Knoyer, it was recommended to go to the town hall server. This will be a savings for the town. Councilor DePietro questioned off-duty police officers on details at some jobs. Town Manager Sanangelo believes this is in the contract. Councilor Steves asked about hot asphalt recycling. Director Blakely explained this is Chapter 90 money and the roads have to be in good condition. If not, this would not work as a proper sub-base is needed. Section 5700, hydraulic licenses. This is mandatory requirement and happens every 2 years. All the training is done on site at one time and is a cost savings to the town when done like this. Councilor DePietro asked if this would be federally funded at some point. Director Blakely stated she was not sure when federal funds would happen. Section 5800, small equipment and furnishings. Citizen member Rick Nash asked if the Deputy DPW Director was adequately furnished and if we had enough funds for this. DPW Director Blakely stated yes, and he asked what is needed. She also added the $4,000 shown was for a computer upgrade. Councilor DePietro asked if there were anything she would add or if this was a good budget. Director Blakely stated this was a very fair budget. Citizen member Nash asked about MSF4s and if we were feeling the impacts. Director Blakely stated there is money for this in this year's budget. However, next year they would need more, and having a conservation planner will help on these matters. A motion was made by Councilor DePietro with a second by citizen member Stephen Lazo to recommend to the Town Council for ratification the fiscal year 2018 Department of Public Works budget in the amount of $1,723,171. All in favor, 4-0. Agenda item number 2, review and recommend to the Town Council fiscal year 2018 snow and ice budget. Director Blakely explained to the subcommittee that this must be budgeted at what we think it will be. She stated that $10,000 more was added without increasing the overall budget. This reflects more in-house instead of contractors. Town Manager Sanangelo stated We have not touched stabilization for this, and this is a really good number for this year. A motion was made by Councilor DePietro with a second by citizen member Stephen Lazo. Recommend to Town Council for ratification the fiscal year 2018 snow budget and ice budget in the amount of $400,000. All in favor, 4-0. Agenda item number 3, review and recommend to the Town Council fiscal year 2018 sewer enterprise fund. Director Blakely explained the line items for repair funds. Indirect costs went up 0.65%. Line item 5400 CPU adjustment for contract increased 3.20%. Councilor Steves asked about the compost budget and if we saw a profit on this. Director Blakely stated that we did not see a profit on this. Citizen member Stephen Lazo asked if the homeowner still gets 50 yards for free. Director Blakely responded that yes, the homeowner does, and an announcement of this can be made. So I just did that. Section 5900, debt service. Director Blakely stated that this, with this, some items have not been started yet and some have. Citizen member, I believe it was Nash, Nash questioned 5800 and asked why we doubled over capital equipment. Director Blakely stated that we have not doubled, and these are actual numbers. A motion was made by citizen member Rick Nash with a second by Councilor DePietro. 2, recommend to Town Council for ratification the fiscal year 2018 sewer enterprise fund in the amount of $4,502,264. All in favor, 4-0. Agenda item number 4, review and recommend to the Town Council fiscal year 2018 water enterprise fund. Director Blakely opened the discussion on the electric and stated that we were seeing a savings and can lower this line item. Councilor Steves asked if any more testing was needed for this water line. Director Blakely stated she was not sure. They may not have to sample this. This depends on the DEP. Citizen member Nash asked if there was anything we needed to be aware of coming up. Director Blakely stated that the largest item has already been budgeted, this being South Street. There are also capital water plans. Our debt is going down, and the problems are recognized. Councilor DePietro asked if we were happy with the subcontractors that run the water department. Director Blakely said that yes, she was very happy with them. They are very professional and operate the department, monitoring and reporting. They do repairs on hydrants and read the meters. Citizen member Stephen Lazo asked if we have equipment bought by the town that Whitewater uses. Director Blakely stated yes, it is all the town's equipment. Section 5900, Director Blakely stated the debt went down 10.31% with debt and long-term interest going down 10.68%. A motion was made by citizen member Stephen Lazo with a second by citizen member Rick Nash to recommend to the Town Council for ratification the fiscal year 2018 water enterprise fund in the amount of $3,884,235. All in favor, 4-0. A motion was made by citizen member Nash with a second by citizen member Steve Lazo to adjourn. All in favor, 4-0. I adjourned the meeting at 8:46 p.m. and I was also the recording clerk. I do have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday, May 30th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. C, Education and Human Services, Councilor Steves.
I have no minutes and no meeting scheduled at the moment.
Thank you. D, Planning and Development, Councilor Leclerc.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we did have a meeting on May 4th at 6:30 p.m. The meeting was called to order at 6:33. Agenda item number 1 was review and vote to approve fiscal year 2018 economic development budget. Rosemary Scrivens opened the discussion and explained that the only change was in the director position as it had been upgraded. She also explained that a portion of salaries were paid in CDBG grant funds. The motion was made to approve the economic development budget in the amount of $62,452 and submit to council, and the vote passed 4-0. Agenda item number 2 was review and vote to approve fiscal year 2018 planning budget. Ron Sanangelo opened the discussion by outlining the town planner line items. Currently, the part-time position costs the town $21,377 per year, and the proposed increase brings that position to $67,966. This position would split their time between planning and acting as a conservation officer. The manager and Rosemary Scrivens researched the role and crafted the requested salary to recruit someone qualified to fill this position, utilizing both surrounding communities and reaching out statewide for information. Mr. Sanangelo also noted that in the long term, this position could act and both generate revenue and save the town money. He went on to give examples, including a review of townwide zoning changes that could attract new businesses. At this point, the town is acting in a reactionary fashion and only reviewing potential zoning changes at the request of incoming companies. If the zoning was altered in a way that made sense and would allow for businesses to be built, we may attract new companies that would otherwise be deterred at the prospect of additional zoning requirements and hearings. Councilor Manna stated that she was in support of this position, but questioned the job description and the inclusion of bylaws. Mr. Sanangelo stated that the position would be in charge of interpreting and enforcing, not creating bylaws, and would act as a liaison between departments and boards, working in tandem with the Economic Development Director. Councilor Steves also raised some concerns about the job description, and after some discussion, it was decided to revisit the description and perfect it between now and July, when they may begin recruiting for it. Councilor Clements brought up several concerns, including the budget becoming more top-heavy with department heads. She cited our needs for more dispatch and other services that she felt should supersede the need for a planner. She also expressed concern that this was coming up at the budget meeting and not beforehand. Mr. Sanangelo pointed out that the full-time planner was included in the budget presentation back in March. I asked what the order of things should be going forward. I felt that a preliminary job description was enough to bring the matter to council during the budget, and if the position was approved, then there would be more action moving forward in regards to recruitment and interviewing candidates. There was a motion to submit the economic development budget in the amount of $69,374, and the vote was unanimous of all present. And then the meeting was adjourned at 7:45 p.m. Thank you. Oh, and I also have a meeting on tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
Is it 7?
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. E, Protection of Persons and Property, Councilor Eau Claire.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair, through you. I have a couple of meetings that I have minutes for. At the next council meeting, I'd like to read the minutes for the regional dispatch meeting that was held on April 27th, but I will hold off on that for now. And I will just read the budgetary meeting that is relevant to tonight's meeting. So the budgetary meeting was on the 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Agenda item number 1 was to review and vote to approve fiscal year 2018 inspection department budget. There was an increase in salary lines, which reflects an assistant building commissioner to meet the salary to warrant the caliber of service. This represents an 8.83 increase. We have an electrical inspector and a plumbing inspector who are significantly underpaid. Electrical inspector was making approximately $13,000 a year at 23 hours a week. This comes out to $11.63 an hour for a licensed and skilled inspector. They also looked at the plumbing inspector, and his hourly came out to $10.93 an hour. The town did a comparability study, and all of the surrounding towns are in the $22,000 to $26,000 range. The line items will reflect an increase in pay over the course of 2 budget seasons. Andy Pelletier had asked Casey to increase the permit fees, and this will begin to offset the cost increase. Within the wiring fees, we will be proposing an increase in $8,800 in plumbing fees that will result in $7,000 in increased revenue. This will cover the total increase, but we will still take it over the course of 2 years to ensure the validity of these figures. Councilor Clements stated this should have come up before the budget meeting. This kind of large change that could have been presented earlier due to the salary changes. She stated this should have been communicated, and it is disrespectful that it was not. Councilor Manna pointed out that $10.93 was not below the minimum wage at the time. Andy Pelletier explained that he averaged over the year from January 2016 to 2017, and it was not an hourly position, it was the average of his salary. Andy Pelletier went on to outline the increase in office supplies, asking for another $250 in this category due to the adoption of the 2015 codes by the state of Massachusetts. We will need all of these documents available. In conferences and meetings, has a slight increase to offset CEUs for the department and new hire that is funded by CDBG grant money. Councilor Clements made a motion, and the vote was passed 3-0. Agenda number 2, review and vote to approve fiscal year 2018 police department budget. Chief Woodson explained the increase in salary line is to bring the number of officers back up to 36. 3 received 10% for the contractual education incentive, and the figures also reflect step increases. Councillor Carrasco asked if the new officer will replace Officer Ritchie, who retired. Chief Woodson explained it will be a flush change. We will also see $1,000 in tenure over 2 different officer step changes for longevity. The holiday pay increase is a contractual issue that pay is doubled for 2 or more working holidays. The other increase in police fire assignment is an officer who works a day doing patrol supervision. The dollar amount went from $1 an hour to $2 an hour through the collective bargaining agreement. The uniform allowance went up 1.06% this year through their contract as well. The officers do pay for their own Class A uniforms, which is great for the community. There was also an increase in sewer water throughout the town, and this is reflected in the numbers. Chief Woodson explained the safety control supplies budget line item. This is ammunition, tasers, etc. Every time one is discharged, the police department must replace. We take monies out of other accounts to fund this, even though it's only funded at $1,000. We pay more and more every year for these costs. Councillor Carrasco wanted to shift the focus of the conversation back to actuals. The budget's exceeding certain line items every year. It's great to have final stages of negative 93%, but can we level fund the budget? Mr. Sanangelo explained that to get a level-funded budget with no increase, there are instances where line items and other categories can fund these lines. At some point, we have to look at all the department budget increases, but we're unable this year because we've taken so much out of the operating budget. There was a motion to submit to council, and it passed 4-0. Agenda item number 3 was review and vote to approve fiscal year 2000, the fire department fiscal year 2018 budget. Chief DeFranco explained the first line is the contractual increases for a total increase of 1.89%. Retirees have left, 1 firefighter is out IOD, and 1 is in training, so there isn't a full increase of 2.0%, even though that is the contractual increase. He also mentioned that they are fully staffed. Councillor Carrasco asked if these stipends on line item number 5117 were contractual. Chief DeFranco replied no, but they are included in Schedule 5 and the restructuring to pay for their time to go and get Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 training. We didn't give an increase to the on-call employees. We kept it flat for anything outside of contractual increases. Discussion ensued between Karen Hardways and Chief DeFranco regarding the on-call firefighter line item and whether or not there was money for proposed increase in pay. Ms. Hardways expressed her concern over a budget that isn't sustainable. Councillor Clements asked that they better communicate, especially with the on-call line item, as it could influence the budget, and that a level-funded budget that isn't sustainable isn't truly a level-funded budget. She also stated that the fire chief should have brought this request to subcommittee. Councillor Carrasco pointed out that in line item 5117, the final variance is a 2.19% increase and asked what is included in that increase. Ms. Harnoways asked what the leeway was in the budget to fund OT and other related expenses. Chief DeFranco explained that he forecasts the best he can, and in the past he's never had to come to council for OT expenses. There are currently 6 people in the on-call fire department. They are great assistants and can help with calls as well as some EMT calls. Line 5119 was an increase from part-time with a step increase to $40,000. This was the part-time position that we voted to full. Step increase constitutes 2% increase, and the position is seeing a 5% total increase in salary. Councillor Carrasco asked about technical trainings. Chief DeFranco explained that they offer many different technical trainings, and there are 4 individuals that have specialized skill sets and work on regional teams. Moving on, the chief outlined that longevity pay had a 2.17% increase and represents a $500 increase. There's a firefighter who is no longer with the department that will not receive a budgeted $1,500 for this longevity pay. These are contractual. Steps on the EMT certification came down as discussed during collective bargaining agreements. This will save the town a considerable amount of money. The line item is down 10.72% to $129,849. Drug and medical supplies is up 5% in the budget because of the increases in medical costs. They look at Harrington Memorial Hospital and other suppliers this year, but Harrington is the cheapest by far. The chief explained that we bundle the pricing because we have a greater chance of recouping revenues. Last year, we saw an increase in revenue due to the bundled pricing. We have different service levels with advanced care and life support care, and that is how they are broken up. Town Manager Ron Sanangelo asked what the percentage of the paramedic costs versus ambulance revenue was. Chief DeFranco explained the total fire budget is $2.39 million, and we've taken over $900,000 for ambulance service. Motion to accept the fire budget in the amount of $2,380,355 was made, and the vote was unanimous. Agenda item number 4 was review and vote to approve the fiscal year 2018 public safety budget. This line item was level funded at $142,000, working very closely with the solar consultants to increase revenues. Councilor McKenzie made a motion to accept the public safety budget in the amount of $142,000, and the vote was unanimous of all present. The meeting was adjourned at 8:17 p.m. and respectfully submitted by myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, moving on to agenda item number 5, Chairman's announcements. I only got 2 this evening. The first is next Monday. It is Memorial Day, and here in our community, our Southbridge Veterans Council does a great program that will begin at 8:30 in the morning, and we will all assemble in the front of Southbridge Town Hall and then go through our community, visiting several ceremonial statues that are in town, and they hope to have it all completed by 12 p.m. So they're inviting all the members of the town council, but also we're inviting the public to join us and all those veterans to come out and be part of the march and the parade. This is an opportunity for us to just pay our respects to those veterans who have passed, as well as those veterans that are still here with us today. So that is next Monday, Memorial Day, starting at 8:30. The second announcement that I know I mentioned it last time. I'm spending a lot of time at Henry Street. I'm coaching a Little League baseball team. And I've made a couple conversations with our town manager and our police chief. But again, it takes not just the law enforcement. It takes a whole community. So if you see something, report it. If you see somebody acting a fool, pick up the phone, call right away. We had to do it on Saturday, but at the end of the day, there's kids that want to use that park. There's games going down there. So I just want to urge the community that it takes all of us to be able to, patrol and help and clean up our parks. If you see it, report it. Don't get in an argument with someone. That's why law enforcement's there. Just pick up the phone and just say, hey, can you talk to these individuals? Because some people just don't care what you have to say. That's my only concern. With that also, summertime is coming. It's good weather. Slow down. Stop for pedestrians. It happens all the time. Main Street, we have several stops that we are to stop for pedestrians, and unfortunately, we have some people that are not considerate. Please slow down and stop for people, and if you see something, report it. That's all I have for announcements. Moving on to agenda item number 6, Mr. St. Angelo, Town Manager's announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up on one of your comments, also, those people have to realize that the crossing guards have quite a difficult task here in town, and we need to make sure that when you're driving up towards a crosswalk, when the crosswalks are trying to get kids across that crosswalk, that they can do so safely. And if you're flying by there, it makes their job a lot more difficult, and it makes it a lot more dangerous. So we've had some complaints about drivers flying across the crosswalks when the crosswalk workers are there, and it's been very dangerous. So please slow down. I have a letter announcement I'd like to make on behalf of the town clerk. Last day to register to vote. The town clerk's office advises all residents that the last day to register to be eligible to vote in the annual town election to be held on Tuesday, June 13th, 2017 is Wednesday, May 24th, 2017. The clerk's office will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on this day. Again, please, it's the last day to register to vote, May 24th. It's a Wednesday. Absentee ballots are now available. Absentee ballots are now available in the office of the town clerk, Board of Registrars, Town Hall for the local election, which will take place on Tuesday, June 13, 2017. Persons wishing to vote by absentee ballot must obtain an application for completion and return to the town clerk, Board of Registrars, no later than Monday, June 12, 2017 at 12 o'clock p.m. Voters may vote by absentee ballot for the following reasons: absence from town during the hours that the polls are open, physical disability, religious beliefs. Relatives may apply for absentee ballots for Southbridge residents absence from the state. Residents in the armed forces or merchant marines, their spouses or dependents and prisoners. Applications must be registered voters of the town of Southbridge. The local election will take place on Tuesday, June 13th, 2017, with voting at precincts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Voters are urged to exercise their right to vote at all elections. It's by our Town Clerk, Matty Banderas. I also want to highlight a letter I got, and I try to make these announcements when I get different comments from citizens or people involved with town employees. And I have a nice letter I'd like to quickly read to you. This is a letter that was sent basically on behalf of James Cosgrove. It says, "Dear Mr. Cosgrove, as the pastor of the New Life Christian Church of Webster, Mass., I am so proud of writing this letter of appreciation for the great job you are doing in Southbridge Cable Public Access. One of the ministries of our church, named Voice of Christ, constantly uses the facilities of the station for the past year or so. You always have shown respect, tolerance, and incredible interest in supporting our productions. You have demonstrated a remarkable sense of interest in making our Hispanic community feel a part of this community. We've been able to receive valuable training in education and production, camera usage, equipment controls, and helping us to present a quality and excellent television production. I cannot emphasize the importance and positive direction you have taken the public access station since you have been managing the operations. You can share this email with your superiors, and hopefully they join me to congratulate you for a great job. Sincerely, Emilio Cruz." It's nice to see residents talking. We've made serious advances in our public access station, and it's open to all members of the public that want to produce a TV show or to talk about some important issue, a benefit group of some type. Please talk to James Cosgrove and our cable access station about doing so. Lastly, I wanted to make one announcement. In what happens in every community, rumors kind of fly all throughout communities. And this one's a little frustrating. I've been told now by 2 different counselors that they had heard rumors that the town is negotiating to sell our airport to the Casella organization. Let me make it very clear to everyone, there have been no discussions about selling our airport to the Casella organization or anyone else, nor will there ever be any discussions without me being recommended to have those discussions by this town council. I have no intention of moving forward and trying to sell that airport or even discuss that. I don't feel it's appropriate, and unless town council at some point in the future tells me to do so, I have no intention of moving in that direction. I heard it from one of my department heads today. It said to a resident that this occurred, and I called him up. He says, "It's going all throughout town." I said, "Well, I don't want you to talk about it anymore, because when the town employee speaks of these rumors, it gives it even more, more reliability or belief." And I'm going to instruct in my department meeting, I'll discuss that with all my department heads, that we got to be careful when these rumors soar through town. It may be because somebody wants it to soar through for some political reason, not for what may benefit this town. So I just want to make it clear, and I'm going to say it one last time, the town is not negotiating anything to do with that airport to any party. As far as I'm concerned, the airport will be a long-term asset of this community, unless otherwise told by a town council. And that's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7, swearing in and presentations. At this time and tonight, we have none. So we will move on to citizens forum. I'm going to ask if there are any citizens that would like to address the council with something that is not on tonight's agenda. This is the time to come up. Please state your name, address. You'll have 5 minutes. And my favorite words, keep it respectful.
Okay, did you put this here for me? Thanks. Anyway, it's, just in case everybody doesn't know, it says for best audio results, please speak about 3 inches from the microphone. And I know I have a hard time being heard. Anyway, What I'm here to tell you about is, I don't know if everybody is aware of this article that was in the newspaper and the Telegram and Gazette, Casella meets resistance on landfill expansion. It came out on May 10th. The meeting was the night before at St. John Paul II Parish on Hamilton Street, or the old St. Mary's, if you know that. And I just wanted to call everybody's attention to a part of it. Mr. Q, who's from Casella, he's the director of landfill development, he noted that the airport is a quote-unquote money loser for the town. He said, everybody loves having an airport, but with Southbridge, the state's poorest, the 10th poorest community, operating an airport is akin to a person who lives in a terrible neighborhood having a Mercedes-Benz parked in his driveway. I was astounded that he said that. He said many times how poor our community is. And I keep seeing that Casella has this campaign that Southbridge is first, and this doesn't sound like a corporation that's putting Southbridge first to me. I don't think they are, and I would encourage everybody to vote no on question number 1, June 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to address the council with something that's not on tonight's agenda?
3 inches. All right. Dan Butler, 35 Brookside Road. Is this good? Okay. With all due respect to what the town manager just said, it's pretty much what I was here for tonight as well. Election day, election day is coming up June 13th. Obviously, the hot topic, everybody. You said, whoa, I didn't even touch that. You see that? Okay, we'll try this again. Now, can you hear it okay? Or? All right, what's the budget for this? We did a budget meeting, didn't we? All righty, start again. The hot topic, obviously, with the election coming up, seems to be question 1, which we were just talking about. The number 1 question, concern I keep hearing from people asking, talking about the question 1. I don't know. I'm not even going to read the whole ballot question here, but basically, from what I'm hearing, is people saying, we're going to lose our free trash pickup. That seems to be everybody's panic attack. Just to re-emphasize, clarify, the same article that Maureen was just talking about from the Telegram Gazette. The Casella is under contract with Southbridge. For all the viewers at home that don't come to all these and don't hear all this, they're in a contract with us until the year 2027 to pick up our trash for free, no matter what, whether we have a landfill, whether we don't. In that article, landfill director Tom Q verified that at that meeting. Trying to see here. Yeah, the meeting. The title of the article was Casella Meets Resistance on landfill expansion, like she said. In that same article, as Maureen just said, I was kind of appalled by that same statement. Everyone loves having an airport. This is the quote. Everyone loves having an airport, but Southbridge, the state's 10th poorest community, having an airport is like a person who lives in a terrible neighborhood having a Mercedes-Benz parked in the driveway. Again, I think that's where all this is coming from all over town. It's not a political thing by anybody, but when we all read that in the newspaper, and this is seems to be it's kind of hard to trust these guys with things that have gone on. So first thing, I think I kind of shot themselves in the foot with that, because it's kind of upset a lot of people in town. Talking about taking our airport, I have actually seen the airport recently, starting to look like Logan up there with the gorgeous new terminal and all. So I'm hoping, just to clarify, basically, first, everyone, that don't worry about your trash pickup. It's coming until 2027, no matter what. Also, on the same topic of the airport, I got time, right? About 3 minutes here. Okay, on the topic of the airport, I myself just recently realized that our Aero Venture Institute was, about a year and a half ago. They were up here doing a presentation I was excited about it. Lots of people excited about it. They were talking about doing credit classes for our high school kids, all that kind of stuff. I live obviously right near the landfill, right near the airport. I got used to seeing they had white and red airplanes. They would fly over pretty much all day long on usually Fridays, Saturdays. They were doing touch and go practice and stuff like that up there. Hadn't seen them in a while, so I looked into it. They left Southbridge. I started doing a little research on it, on what happened. I've actually I obtained an email, I guess they sent to the I believe it was the town manager or just to the town. The landfill wasn't the only reason they left, but number 10 on their email. I'm not allowed to read this? No, I wasn't. Oh. Okay, well, I got the floor. Anyway, excuse me?
Nothing. I said continue on, you have the floor.
Okay, I'll try this again. So anyway, the email to the town from Aero Venture Institute, number 10 on the list of reasons why they left, states that more recently a referendum was passed to allow expansion of landfill activities onto airport property, which clearly will have a negative impact on our business or even serve to make our flight school operations impossible. So, I mean, going from that, 2009, I think our town voted to have a commercial drive built to go to the industrial park. This is 2017. We still have no other businesses up there other than the landfill. Now we had a business at the airport who just left, stating it's because of the landfill. I'm just concerned with this coming up. You know, they've pointed the finger at Incom, Millennial Power in the past for the contamination, despite what DEP Director Ms. Pigsley had said at our March 9th meeting, that tri-community meeting we had here in this building. She had said that the department's position is that, and has been, that the likely source of the contamination on H Foot Road and Eleanor Lane neighborhood is the landfill. So my concern, I know this is kind of way off subject from question one, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to get any businesses up there as long as the landfill is operational, just because, I mean, no, businesses aren't going to want to move there with potential of having a finger pointed at them for contamination. So I guess I'll wrap it up. I got probably less than a minute left. Why am I getting strange looks?
You're done. You're done, so if you want 2 minutes, we can give you 2 minutes.
All right, I'll wrap it up in 30 seconds if I could.
Take 30 seconds.
All right, so back to Mr. Q's quote. For people at home that don't come here and all that, I don't think we want to get rid of the Mercedes in our driveway. Most of us would rather clean up our neighborhood rather than accept the fact that we live in a poor town. So we'd rather clean up our neighborhood by closing the landfill and saving our airport. So I guess if you agree, vote no on question one. Oh, one more thing, by the way. We do have a camera now pointed at the sign that keeps getting stolen at the bottom of Commercial Drive. So, because stealing signs in this town is, you know, against the law, and it's getting kind of frustrating to have to keep replacing signs. We're political signs. Everybody's got them. I'm getting tired of replacing that same one. So, just if you're stealing it, just good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name, address. You'll have 5 minutes. Keep it respectful.
My name is Kevin Buxton, 28 Columbus Avenue. I won't complain about the mic. I'll just speak louder. Problem is, my tendency of speaking, if I start at this volume now, when I work myself into a fervor, I don't know if my heart can take it. I'm going to use this opportunity to speak about a few subjects other than the landfill. I'll eventually get to it sooner or later. 5 minutes of speaking for me always leads me back to the same subject. I'd like to talk to the council about being overworked. 9 councilors. You have 5 subcommittees to operate. I think between now and next June, you should consider going back to 13 councilors. I think there is more than enough efforts. I compliment the budget situation of keeping us below 60 million this year, but chances are $60 million will be in next year's budget. At 13 councilors, you're still dealing with 12, so you're looking at $5 million apiece you have in your hands manipulating. The other thing about the subcommittee is I've enjoyed the general government subcommittees televising their meetings on council rules and regs. Very informative, a lot of good civic lessons of the basic operation of town government. And I once again would like to encourage the council to consider televising all of your subcommittee meetings. I appreciate when councilors read their minutes, but having the ability to watch the actual meeting on cable access would give citizens fuller versions of the meetings, and knowing, I believe even Councilor Clements commented that she enjoyed the fact of having the taped version of the meeting for writing her minutes. It's just a situation, now I'll admit, I don't know what the viewer ship is out there. It's just a situation where it allows more transparency, it allows more subjects to get out to the public, to draw their attention into these subcommittees. Over the years, I've known that coming up here for 5 minutes has drawn me a lot of praise and criticism sometimes, but attending the subcommittee meetings can really pay off as far as getting your voice heard and subjects addressed. Lastly, I don't think I need to say anything about vote no on question 1. I think enough is enough. Mr. Q does make a few points, like the fact that we're the 10th poorest community in Massachusetts. Well, after 9 years of running a successful landfill business, you'd think we maybe would have been a little bit better off. The money, it's not all about the money. It's about quality of life. It's about what we leave our children in the future. Is the tax rate is the first thing that happens when a child comes of age is, geez, Dad, why is your tax rate so high? You should have done something about it. I must admit, I'm a little burnt out about the subject. I was the person that held that landfill day campaign. I was never an advocate for, I was never rushing to the Board of Health meeting saying, close it, close it, close it. But once Casella said, listen, the landfill's going to be full, I felt that was an end to a chapter that the town could finally get to, that we could. But if in any way, shape, or form we look at expansion, we're just looking at continuing the same issues, the same evils, and not helping the town at all. So please get out and vote, and please vote no on question 1. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could just bother the gentleman or the recording, your full name, sir?
Kevin Buxton.
Buxton?
Buxton, like the wallet, Buxton.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I may, it doesn't need to be, I know our cable staff has people, just a stationary camera up on the wall with a remote for the chair of the subcommittee to push a button and record. It goes to the DVD machine up here, and it's aired later by their schedule. It doesn't need to be a full-person crew operating the camera. I'll try to attend the next cable access meeting and see if I can continue with the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buxton, before you leave, Councilor Clements would like to address one of the things that you mentioned.
No, just in terms of what we've been doing with general government, that's all been on committee. I mean, I've borrowed cameras from the studio, bring them down. Occasionally, I can get Max or somebody will come and actually set it up for me. In the past, Mike Montigny has come with his camera and done it. But as of late, I've actually been able to use a video camera we have that seems to be compatible with what's going on in cable, so I can drop it off and say, can you download the footage? And they've been great about producing it for us and getting it out there with the captions. But that's just something that, like you said, I felt strongly, not to do my minutes from it, because I've lived through it, I don't need to watch it again, but especially when it's a 4-hour meeting, but certainly for the public, and we've had some good input from people watching them. So I'm glad we're doing it. It's been some really strong subjects that we've been dealing with this year, and as many times as I can remember to get that camera and the time to set it up, and even when I'm late, everybody in the audience helps to get that tripod going, so I appreciate the help they give. But anybody can do that, but perhaps now we've got a few extra hours at cable, maybe we can work towards some sort of system that makes it easier for any council member to take a camera and do that, or that maybe cable can set it up in a room so it's ready to go and you push the start. I don't know, but I like you, agree that full disclosure and to have the audience, the public be able to see is a good thing. So not always great what we say maybe, but it's still a positive.
No, and I don't think it hurts for people to see a more leisurely, subcommittee meetings are more back and forth, open discussions and stuff like that. And I think that's just part of the transparency and part of the maybe people understanding that it's not as formal as a dais and standing here with lights and cameras and everything. And I think that's important for people to see that we are all regular people, right? Thank you.
It's a good thing.
Please state your name, address. You'll have 5 minutes. Keep it respectful.
Good evening. Mike Marchetti, 120 Marie Avenue. June 13th, 2017, Southbridge residents will vote on a non-binding referendum question asking whether they are in favor of expanding the landfill beyond the present site-assigned area or not. Now, in an attempt to understand the suggested benefits of this referendum, I attended a presentation given by Tom Q., who's the Director of Landfill Development for Casella, held at St. Mary's on Tuesday, May 9th, 2017, and this is what I learned. According to Mr. Q, the landfill business is a dinosaur business on its last legs. Mr. Q said the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection has a plan requiring all the state's garbage and trash to be shipped to Ohio. Apparently, the Casella dinosaur wants to make Southbridge its final resting place. When asked why Casella petitioned for a referendum, Mr. Q said the company representatives met with the town manager and 2 town councilors who suggested the referendum. Apparently, there's a minority on the council and the town manager are looking for a second bite of the apple, having lost a vote on the same issue previously. Someone asked Mr. Q why Casella was looking to expand the potential landfill to include the airport grounds, and other people have touched on this issue. And Mr. Q's answer also amazed me. He said Southbridge was the 10th poorest town in Massachusetts, but you still have an airport. This is a quote from Mr. Q. It's like a guy living in a terrible neighborhood who wants a Mercedes-Benz in his driveway. I always thought the Southbridge Airport was a source of community pride. Mr. Q did confirm that Casella had a contractual obligation to pick up and dispose of town garbage free of charge until 2027, and to continue to pay for the access road regardless of whether or not the landfill closes. Some signers of the petition were incorrectly informed otherwise. Finally, I asked Mr. Q why James Bolig, then president of Casella, promised in 2007 that the landfill on the site assigned with the added tonnage would last 20 years, or until 2027. This promise is on videotape. Mr. Q said he was not here then and could not answer for what was said then. So apparently, Casella's promises are only as good as their last representative makes them. So those were the most memorable things that I took away from the presentation made by Casella's current representative. They were not convincing to me, and as a longtime opponent of landfill expansion, I will vote no on the referendum question on June 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. And before, I just want to address one statement that Mr. Marchetti made, because I want to make sure the public understands all information. Mr. Marchetti made a reference to John Casella meeting with 2 counselors and our town manager. I was in that room, Mr. Marchetti. Miss Denise Clements was also in that room. And I will read exact words what we told, or I told, Mr. John Casella, because Mr. John Casella came to that room with the intention of wanting to have the council vote to be a long-term, his words, partner. And at this point, I told Mr. John Casella, this issue is bigger than 9 councilors. The people of Southbridge have the right to have their voice heard, because there's been a lot of misconceptions, there's been a lot of promises, and there's a lot of misinformation. So I think you want to know an answer, 9 councilors cannot give it to you, because 9 councilors could be bought, brainwashed, whatever. But the public has the right to vote. So I did make that suggestion to have it brought to the people, because I don't think 9 people can make a decision that's going to affect the whole community once again. I thought it was an error before, and I think it will be an error again if we do it. It's up to the people. We have to educate. Whether you're for or against, has to be educated. But I was in that room, and I told Mr. Casella that I wouldn't support, and I wouldn't put on an agenda a partnership, a long-term partnership from this council, because it's not happening, not on my watch. This is bigger than 9 councilors. So now that you mention it, I want to make sure that the public knows, because I will not be part of misinformation. I've criticized it before, and it's been brought up.
Misinformation. I simply repeated what Mr. Q said.
No, and I'm glad it's out there, and now the public also knows what this chairman did.
All right, so he was right. You did suggest it. Thank you. Yep.
It's been out there a long time. I've been saying it for months, so I'm not ashamed to say it.
Erin Lapriori, 904 Worcester Street. Please bear with me. My allergies have taken my voice. Thank you, Carrasco, for doing that and saying those words. It is about education. It is about telling the people of this town what will happen if we expand this dump. Going back to the meeting that I was previously at, Carrasco, you had addressed this forum by saying some of the most strongest words that I've heard this council say. Southbridge, we don't want this. Let's educate the people. Casella is a big corporation, but guess what? Southbridge is a business too. You're in the business of protecting our citizens. We're in the business of protecting our children's future. Let's clean it up. Let's be the town that gets rid of the corporate baloney, I'll be nice, that is going on up there. Let's find a definitive answer to the wells being contaminated, not only in one town, but now 2 towns, and aquifer being, contaminated. Let's stop. Any one of you are more than welcome. Come sit in my driveway at 6:45 in the morning and watch the parade of trucks violate, going down the road up to the landfill before they're due. Come have coffee with me. Come watch as I stand out there with my 3 children waiting for school buses. See how scared we are. to wait for our school bus in our own town because the traffic is that bad, because these trucks, I'm lucky on a good day, make a 2-second stop before coming down the incline of that commercial drive. So that is what I wanted. The education needs to be out there. The last thing that I want to say is that at the last meeting, I left with a very poor taste in my mouth. So if I could, I would like to address one specific council member, if that's okay with everybody. Carrasco? It's on TV. It's videoed. I'm just going to quote.
I will not permit disrespect. If you have an issue,
it's not disrespect.
Please keep names
It's
off the
not
record.
disrespect. It just left a very bad taste in my mouth. I quote, I won't name names. I quote, I made a promise to myself not to get involved in this one way or the other. I am not going to persuade anybody. You were elected to care. You were elected to be persuaded by the citizens of this town to care, to make a vote. So show that you care instead of showing that you're on one side of Casella. Thank you.
My name's John Pulaski. I live at 3 Jennison Street. The Southbridge News was a little hard on you guys in a recent editorial, and the state, and the towns, I guess the townspeople, because they said it would be beyond insane to approve what you folks just approved, the water for the people in Charlton, without also doing it for the people in Sturbridge at the same time, as if it was jumping through, as if the same hoops are being jumped through. And I don't think that's fair at all. The Southbridge News, a lot of nice people there, but they don't have as big a staff as they did years ago when they were an award-winning newspaper under Mr. Giglione. But, for example, just a few months ago, they claimed that Casella owns the landfill. And I can see why someone could make such a mistake. You know, it's easy enough to do. I called and I asked for a correction. I don't buy every copy, so I don't know if they corrected it. Maybe it's not a big deal. But I think it's important that people in town know that the town owns that landfill, because that's why we're voting on it. If Casella owned that, it would be different. For example, where Casella owns landfills elsewhere, towns only get like 75 cents or $1 a ton instead of the amount that we get. There is a lot of misinformation. It's not all intentional. It's not a subject people want to hear about. I mean, we hear a lot about investigation of Russians and the like, and people calling the president insane, and apparently the president, we're told, called the director of the FBI insane. That word's being used unprofessionally, I think, by a lot of people that aren't qualified to claim, you know, what's insane and what isn't. One could say it might be insane to continue this contract, but even that isn't necessarily fair. But one of the reasons, I think, it's just opinion, that the state couldn't include the Sturbridge water problems is, first of all, it's not proven. Even though 9 years ago there was contamination on those wells heading towards Sturbridge, it's not proven. There are other contaminants involved. There's chromium that showed up in one well, just one. That doesn't mean that chromium is from the landfill. Someone could have had a chromium, you know, a kit to put chromium on their motorcycle. Who knows what the source of that chromium is? But I think that editorial was fair. I think it just they didn't have the time to investigate on that. But I want folks to remember when they go to vote that we were made 3 solemn promises in 2007, or given 3 reasons why we needed to make that deal happen. One was that they were going to take the liability. But as we know now, that's not the case. We were promised by Mr. Bolig, who wasn't only a local manager, he was either the CEO or the president. I think he was the president of Casella Waste Systems. He promised that when this landfill was filled in 2027, that they will never ask to expand as much as a postage stamp of space in additional acreage. What that promise is, apparently, we can't take them seriously, at least on that. And we're also told, it was in the telegram, I mean, the telegram just doesn't print anything they're told. They do research. They check their numbers. They cross their T's and dot their I's. They claimed in the headlines as big as when we won the Second World War, big, thick typeface, that Southbridge was getting over $150 million. They gave the exact amount, whether it was 157 or 163. Doesn't look like that's happening. There is some false narrative out there. I don't think it's intentional. For example, we're being told that that old part of the landfill is our responsibility. But anyone can call the DEP, and the DEP will confirm, even if it's from the Casella portion of the newest part of the landfill, we share the liability. We share half the liability with Casella. A third party could come in. Let's say some company sneaks in some dreadfully toxic material that eats through the liner faster than liners are.
You've hit your 5 minutes, Mr.
May I have 3 more minutes, please?
We can vote for 2.
Second.
All those in favor for 2? Thank you.
If someone puts some stuff there that doesn't belong there, they could also share in liability, another corporate partner. So it's not only Southbridge, but no matter who's at fault, we're going to pay probably at least half. And another problem with that, a lot of people think that old part of the landfill was operated only by the town of Southbridge. And some people think we've been going by the rules, but actually back then, before our current leaders were in power, we actually had a town employee that ended up going to jail because the town wasn't doing things right back then. Spent some time it was incarcerated. And then it was taken over by wood recycling. And wood recycling, they share in the responsibility. They own more than half the acreage, and that unlined landfill portion was run by this company that was acquired by Casella. And when Casella acquired that company, they didn't only acquire that wonderful asset of that contract up at the landfill, they acquired wood recycling's liabilities. So when we talk about that unlined portion of the landfill, I hear about it all the time over the last 10 years, Casella also shares responsibility, even if if the law was different and it didn't matter what part of the landfill it came from, Casella would still share in the responsibility with us. And these are things that people need to know. In the Southbridge News, in that editorial, it closes asking if anyone can answer why the Sturbridge contamination wasn't included. It's not only that the investigation wasn't done, the amount of money involved in Sturbridge is much greater than the amount of money involved in Chowton. They actually have a town water supply well right near there. So that's going to be a large amount of money. And let's hope the state does take the responsibility. I think they should take all the responsibility. In fact, and we can just wash our hands of it. Because our Board of Health obviously does not have the resources to properly oversee that landfill. That's why the state is coming twice, finding one time $90,000, another time $200,000. And our landfill experts completely missed those 2 cases of contamination. So thank you for giving me extra time. Thank you for serving our town. And people, please go out and vote. If you're not going to be in town, then drop by the town clerk's office, please, and get that absentee ballot and vote then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palowski. Please state your name, address. You all have 5 minutes. Please be respectful.
Good evening. Rick Nash, 50 Denison Crossroad. Thank you. I didn't come here intending to speak tonight, so please forgive my appearance. I know I look a little informal. I appreciate your indulgence. I am certainly interested in this conversation, and I appreciate that the chair has made mention of misinformation. It is something that I think is absolutely rampant within this community, especially around question 1 and that whole issue. I think it would be absolutely wonderful to set the record straight. One thing that I see online, you can go to all the different Facebook boards or wherever else you get your information, something that continues to surface is this $3.8 million or $4 million. Personally, I've been and I've seen the books or the budgets. I've sat with the town manager, and I'm grateful for that time. It is absolutely disheartening, though, to go back to the March 27th budget presentation that the town manager gave, where he references how devastating this issue has become and what it's going to do to our budget because of $3.8 or $4 million, or whatever number you want to throw at it. I would be very grateful for someone to set the record straight within this community and not rely on the two sides that are out pandering or trying to sway votes one way or another. This goes back to something I brought up, and I'm grateful for one counselor that spearheaded it beyond my own efforts with an annual report. Put something in writing somewhere. This is information that absolutely should be made available to the public year in and year out. We shouldn't have to come to town hall and ask a lot of questions or go and find the budget material and ask about receipts, whatever's coming in. It's very frustrating. We have a lot of good things going on in this community. This question 1 tears a lot of people apart, in my mind. So with that, I would be very grateful, as I've said 3 times now. Can someone please set the record straight? Is it devastating? Are we going to get over it? What's the real number? What's the real value that we're getting from Casella? Where is it on the website? Where is it in print? Mr. Chairman, through you, does the town manager have an answer to that?
Go ahead, Mr. Town Manager.
So the town manager's budget report of $3.8 million is an accurate number in terms of direct revenues that come into town. That would include the number of $350,000 that is currently used as a number for curbside collection. It's really kind of a phony number. The real revenue to that, or value to the town, that according to the Department of Health is between $1.2 and $1.6 million of value. That's the whole curbside collection, bulk trash, recycling, all of that. Matter of fact, in a discussion the other day with you, I'm putting together just that report that you're discussing, which is basically done. Just going to do a couple of reviews with Karen and Andy on it, and the town council is going to be receiving a report from me that outlines specifically the dollars and what accounts they go into. So that'll be available in the next 2 days or so. But the $3.8 million is given to the town in a variety of different accounts. Some of that value is correct, as we've talked about numerous times, is the cost of the road up there. Some of it is direct, goes right into a royalty account. Some is to pay specific town officials, for instance, the dump monitor, landfill monitor, and things. So that will be available probably within the next 2 days. I'm sure it'll be interesting to hear the debate on both sides of how that money reflects it. But the overall value of the money that comes to the town from Casella is 3.8 as it's recorded to the books, but probably well over $4 million if you count the actual value of the curbside collection. Okay?
Thank you. I look forward to seeing that in print or on the web.
We've discussed that a variety of times at the board, but they're going to see the specific accounts within the next couple of days.
Right on. May I continue?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. I only have 1 or 2 quick things I wanted to mention as well. I realize there's a long agenda tonight. Budget's very important. Thank you for the effort that was put in by all counselors. I know that that's a long process for you. It can be tedious, but thank you for taking it so seriously. I just wanted to make one comment about the airport as well. I'm very appreciative tonight, too, to hear from the town manager and the chairperson and Councilor Clements, I'm sure, to make note that the airport shouldn't be sacrificial. And I'll just remind everyone that we spent something on the order of $1.5 million for a sewer line and a pump station just this last year and a half. Hopefully that's for naught. Hopefully we can continue building businesses up there in the commercial district or whatever we want to call it. And I'll tell you what, beyond that, thank you for a nice long meeting tonight. I look forward to good discussion on evaluation and on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens that would like to address the council with something that's not on tonight's agenda? Please come now and speak. Are there any other citizens that would like to address the council with something that's not on tonight's agenda? I'll say it one more time. Are there any other citizens that would like to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will move on with agenda item number 9. Vote to accept the warrant for the town local election on Tuesday, June 13, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Estrada? Yes. Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries.
Yep. Thank you. I just want to remind people, we've heard a lot about question 1, but there are 4 other questions on that ballot, all pertaining to marijuana in this community. So we hope that you will get out and vote on all the issues, not just one. Thank you.
Agenda item number 10, vote to waive the town's right of first refusal for parcel 1-003-A-00001, 28 Clements Hill Road, Southbridge, Mass.
Mr. Chairman, that's 268.
268.
268.
Didn't see the typo.
I didn't see that, sorry.
Well, we haven't done it, so.
268 Clements Hill Road, Southbridge, Mass.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Mr. Palowski.
I believe it was about 8 years ago, we were told that that access road was not a landfill access road, it was an industrial park access road. Now, we just borrowed, we're going to borrow $5 million to put in water. That's a good thing. But if we really want to have an industrial park, if we really want an industrial park, if that wasn't total baloney, that property would be ideal. If we're going to be bonding out for money, when we bonded out for that road, I believe there was almost $1 million more that was saved after the money was borrowed. Perhaps there'll be enough additional money to acquire that space, which could be used not only for industrial park space, especially if our guests from Vermont are leaving. It's going to be easier to sell land up that way. And that company says they're going to leave anyway. The people want to acquire it. This may be a great opportunity for our town to actually do what it says it's going to do, acquire that land, not only use it for industrial park, some of it could be used for open space. There's numerous options. We're not going to hurt ourselves by acquiring that property. And there's no rush. I mean, you guys got a lot of things on there tonight. That's something we could put off, and maybe our next council could consider acquiring that, because it will give us a real industrial park. We'll actually be spending more on the land than we are on the road. And that road won't be a waste of road, a shortcut to big money when you're coming in from work, but can be used also to go to work and come from work. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves?
Thank you. Is this mic working? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to John, I just want to point out that actually I made some of those arguments in subcommittee too. Unfortunately, the catch-22 is that this particular property is not just an average everyday property that's going on the market. It's a Chapter 61 property, which means we have the process of first refusal has a very limited timeline, and that's the problem. Is that coming up with $750,000 in the short timeline is the issue. If we had plenty of time to find some source of money to go that way, I would love to do that. I completely agree with you that could be either conservation land or industrial park land. It is currently registered, and it's currently zoned industrial.
Could you folks just have a motion tonight to add $800,000 to the bond, perhaps? No, doesn't work that way?
Theoretically, we could make a motion to buy it outright. I don't think that would fly.
No, I'm sure it could be paid for over 15
honestly, I have
20
no
years.
idea. Do we know what it would take? What it would actually add to the tax rate to do that? Probably not something we want to pay.
There are companies that wanted to go up there and told there wasn't enough acreage.
Yeah, I know.
That would be, I mean, you might find 10% of the money in the next few months. But there's just an idea. Why rush? Why rush? Is the deadline this week or is the deadline next month?
It's actually the end of the month.
Next week?
Yeah, we already delayed this in
that
subcommittee.
stinks.
Yeah,
I
this
remember when
was,
you
this,
delayed it.
this was delayed twice. And
I think
we're
the
hitting our
deadline-
time limit.
I
It's
think the
right
deadline
the
is
first
actually-
week of June.
I think it's the first week of July, actually, but unless you know somebody who's got 750
Wait till
grand that
July.
they can pay us.
It'll make the first meeting of the next council interesting.
Thank you. Councilor Leclerc.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Councilor Steve said a lot of what I was going to say. The only thing that I would add to that is, we're working really hard to take the royalty funds out of the budget. So, either we can stay dependent on, Casella money a little bit longer and hope that they stick around, or, we can address this problem. We can't really, at this point in time, do both.
Any further discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilor McKenzie. Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Reluctantly, yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Reluctantly, yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 11, vote to ratify the Town of Southbridge Town Manager Evaluation Document.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll bring up a few things, if I may. So, did everybody get it? Did everybody get their electronic copies, too? Hopefully, you were able to compare the red and the green and the black and who made the comments. The last page, as I commented, I didn't do all those, I just said to compare the two last pages, because it would have been 3 pages of red and green to explain the changes. So it was just easier to balance it back and forth. And by no means is it just the subcommittee. I mean, I was hoping to get more turnout for that meeting. We had a great turnout the first discussion, and then what I presented reflected that first discussion, or second discussion, I think it was, technically. And so then the subcommittee, as I said, changed some language, changed periods and punctuations and capitalizations, and with the exception of the scoring page, which was a little bit confusing in some ways, we just decided to simplify it, and then we sent it out to you as soon as possible. That meeting was Wednesday. You had that by Thursday. The chairman had it to review and to comment. He had one comment, which I referred back to him on, and apparently I got nothing back, so I gather that was a reasonable explanation. And now you have a document that I think is a good culmination of the intent of this council. Also, you'll notice, I mean, obviously the objectives are empty. The intent will be to have the admin assistant to put in all the objectives and goals and objectives as we defined for the manager, and that way it'll be a printed document when you receive it to do the process. It's a public document. Anybody out there who would like a copy can certainly ask for it in the office if it's approved here, or even if it's not, it's with the minutes. I don't know. Any questions or comments or thoughts further at this point? I don't know.
Okay. Councilor DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Vice, just a huge thank you to the subcommittee that's mulled over this, and I know there's a lot of hours spent on it. My opinion, I still think it's a little lengthy, but at least we got somewhere, and I thank you so much, and
you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say thank you as well to you and your committee working so hard on this. I wasn't as involved in this as I would have liked to have been, but I believe that you all did a wonderful job on this, and I had a chance to review it, and I support this. Thank you.
Councilor Leclerc.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I also wanted to thank Councilor Clements. It was a lot of work, and I know that it was a collaborative effort, but the document that she brought forward to initially take and manipulate and change and everything was a lot of hard work that she put in. I did have one question. the meeting that I attended where we talked about this, I know that the manager wasn't there. Does the town manager have any thoughts on this, on, you know, the fairness or anything like that?
Mr. Town Manager.
I do, as a matter of fact, and I maybe somebody will find it surprising this, but I want to compliment the committee for the job they did. I'm much happier with this review than I've seen in the past. I think they did a great job. I was going to wait until everyone was done just to make a couple of potential suggestions, but overall, I'm very pleased with it, and I'll make those suggestions now. One is that something interesting I found as we developed the goals and objectives for this current year. I wasn't expecting to spend 6 months working on the Casella agreement as it relates to the water line. So, you know, that was a tremendously successful deal for the town of Southbridge. I think we all agreed it's a potential $13 million in reduction of liability. That, as we set up the goals and objectives, is not in this because it wasn't a goal and objective we established. So maybe a line in here to add a goal or two of things that we just didn't anticipate might be added into that if the councilors are fine with that. The only other question and sort of I had in looking at, I think as I looked at this document, it's kind of weighed 50-50 between the goals and objectives and all the other factors that were put in this. I'm just wondering if perhaps it might, being that the contract says this is supposed to be based on goals and objectives, that maybe that should be weighted a little bit stronger on the goals and objective part than on the, you know, is he professional, those kind of questions. And if the counselor doesn't want to do that, we'll be upset by that, but I think it would make more sense to have it weighted a little bit stronger to the goals and objectives than it would be those other items. But again, that's a suggestion. I'm not going to be too upset if council didn't want to do that. But it would seem to make sense that that is, I think, the priority of what we're trying to do is get to the end game of doing those goals and objectives. But that was my only comments, but overall I wanted to compliment the committee. I'm very pleased with the document. I think it's a reasonable document to evaluate any town manager. And I think they did a good job, and I congratulate Councilor Clements and the committee for the work that they did.
Thank you, and I should qualify that. I ask because, you know, I think that this is the first, you know, time since you've been here that we have a document that we can use going forward, you know, and without having to really, you know, generate a new process and a new form every single year. So I'm excited about it, and I thank Councilor Clements for all of her work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McKenzie.
Thank you, Chairman. I think that it's important to realize also that this particular document that has been prepared and a lot of energy and effort went into it by Councilor Clements and the subcommittee, I think that it's important to realize that this is not a document to strictly evaluate our town manager currently, but now and future town managers. So it's not directed at the town manager, but all town managers that we will be dealing with. And this is something that we really needed to have. However, I also want to point out that our present town manager, in my estimation, is doing a phenomenal job, and I'm very pleased with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Clements, and then I got Councilor Estrada.
Oh, well, Councilor Estrada can go first. I'll finish in case he
Councilor
has something.
Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chairman. Only for Mr. Chairman, I speak for Ms. Councilor Clement. It's awesome. It's a good job. My respect, this work.
Thank you. So,
Councilor Clements.
just a couple of things. I think that the document, it was a collaborative effort, not just of the committee, but of people outside the committee, that I want to thank for those who helped, and some don't want recognition, so I'll say that. But certainly, the committee members, Councilor Steves, Citizen Member Nash, Citizen Member Janes was sick over the period of time I think that we reviewed this, but I know he was interested in wanting it to be completed. And Councilor Estrada gave input, and mostly too, Council showed for a very important meeting to try to make sure that once we had put something in writing, that we had buy-in and that we were on the right track, because there's no sense in wasting time. I also feel that the document pays homage to the original document. And while People still seem to think we didn't have one. It was in the Human Resources. It was called the Management Performance and Development Appraisal Town of Southbridge Town Manager. And that document was voted on by previous council that I've sat on. And that document, as former Councilor Regis Leduc came to one of our meetings and described the committee, the town manager subcommittee appointed by a chair at that time, who created that document. And that document was valid, legal and valid. But that's gone, hopefully, after this moment here, once we get to a vote. And this document incorporates a number of items, quite a bit of information from part of that document, but it also incorporates a great section on the goals and objectives. It's also very like other documents that we have found. We have pulled other performance evaluations from previous managers, from going way back. Mr. Coughlin's performance evaluation was a very similar document, as was the one here. So it really is a document that has historical perspective in a lot of ways. We've had former councilors tell us they use similar documents for former town managers. So with any luck, this council has said they would like to see this put into council rules and regulations, if that's indeed what we vote on right now, to say that this will be the document going forward so that there is a place, sort of like that annual report, there is a place where we can certainly say it was done and we don't have to look up minutes and previous meetings. And going forward with any manager's packets and all, in terms of any future down the road, who knows when, town manager searches or such, to have this as part of, I think Councilor Carrasco mentioned that too, part of that packet. So it's very, very clear to everybody what at least we're looking for. Can it be tweaked? Does it need to be tweaked somewhere down the road for another manager? It's possible. We changed the evaluation date to be in June so that a full year's experience can be had by council members coming in. So this process, if the chair denotes, will begin again. We wanted to get this done as soon as possible so we could get this process started. And this council had the ability to evaluate one more time before they left office. And going forward, the next council will come in and will not be tasked with this job the way some new councilors were this time. Then it was not really a full evaluation because a lot of them did not have an observation of the town manager's performance. So, again, I thank everybody who put in their time and assisted with this and made sure we got something with some bite and going forward, because I want to leave the town in good hands and in good shape to evaluate our employee, the only employee we have as a council. And thank you for all your help, and I look forward to moving forward with this.
Yes. And if I may, I just want to also acknowledge Councilor Clements for the hard work, that she definitely worked hard with her subcommittee, hand in hand. There was a lot of council input in the meetings that I attended, or even in the emails exchange that I had with Councilor Clements. She mentioned a lot of the information that was discussed. One of my biggest concerns, and I think she just mentioned it, is that moving forward that we are able to include it in any of our town manager searches packages. I was part of the town manager search committee previously, and this wasn't part of our package, our selling point. So I think this is important for anyone that was to come into Southbridge to know ahead of time, okay, this is the evaluation form that you're going to be evaluated on. So it's not, nobody's taken by surprise and say, hey, rather it's going to be included in any packages moving forward. But we definitely want to, another point was, that was well presented, is that it's not fair for new counselors to be able to just be given an evaluation tool when they've got 2 weeks on the job. So this is one of the major changes to the document is, in starting the process early. So then the new counselors, they can just focus on establishing goals and objectives rather than having to work on a town manager evaluation that they weren't a part of, but rather a new council, new sitting members are now jumping forward and working on goals and objectives, and then they'll have a whole year to evaluate that work of that town manager. So I would like to first entertain a motion to amend this current agenda, because I would like it to include that, be included in council rules and regs, because right now this motion is just a blanket, so I would,
I'll second that.
A reference to it. in council.
Reference,
That's
yes.
with human resource.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Adopted this date.
Yep.
Fine.
so we motion in a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion on that? We're all clear on that? Yeah. Roll call, please.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 12, vote to adopt the
Excuse me,
FY.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
point of
we have to
order.
vote on
That was a vote
Yes,
on the
excuse me,
agenda
now
and
can
the
we vote?
amendment.
Yes, thank you. That was the amendment.
To
Now
amend
can,
it, to include reference.
to include reference to rules and regs, and now the official motion.
As amended.
Yes.
Is there a motion and a second?
Do we have a motion and a second?
I thought we already did.
Second.
Yeah, to amend, right? Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 12 now, vote to adopt the FY 2018 Town of Southbridge General Operating Budget per to the attached voting document in the amount of $51,095,460 to be funded as follows. Raise and appropriate $49,848,453. At that point, I'm going to break it down before I go into the transfers of from other available funds, and I'm just going to go and kind of give the final numbers of each, because it's not right that we're just saying 49 million.
Right.
So I'll go through each budget item and just give the final number. General Government Town Council, raise and appropriate, $16,390. Town Manager, $279,299. Town Accountant, $163,033. Assessors, $197,795. Town Treasurer/Collector, $398,134. Town Attorney, $137,000. Town Clerk, $173,138. Elections and Registration, $39,605. Planning Board, $69,374. Economic Development, $62,452. So its subtotal for administration is $452,000. Data processing, $190,945. Council reserve, $100,000. Contributory retirement, $3,248,870. Subtotal for personnel, $164,980. Group health and life, $3,907,291. General insurance, $542,500. Subtotal for boards and committees, $6,708. Subtotal for debt service, $1,698,419. Special accounts, $107,000. So that's general government total, which would be $11,954,933. Public safety total, I will break it down again like I've done with the others. Police, $3,600,000. If you want to just do subtotals, I can do that totals. How do you
I thought we
prefer?
were just going to vote each budget.
Each section?
We
We'll
don't do
do-
that? Can we ask Karen?
Karen, do you want us to vote each budget? We've done it in the past. Is that something that,
Column, not the raise and appropriate column. So we go down the first column of the voting document. Usually we read the agenda item 12, we read the whole thing in its entirety.
We need this. This is from here.
And then we read the budget appropriation column, which is the total amount to appropriate, not the net amount.
okay. Yeah, there was, okay.
Karen, have we not, though, voted each section at times? Each one, or are we just voting at the, I could have sworn we voted before.
We can vote the subtotals, like the general government total would be the $13,134,399.
Because
We can just do
usually
that
if
as
there's
a
any
hand vote.
question-
You don't necessarily have to, because we're going to vote on this agenda item as stated, and it has everything included in it.
But usually there was an opportunity to ask if there was any concern, any parts that somebody didn't want to vote on. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
If
So
you do it all as one, you don't have the
As we go down,
opportunity
for
to...
example, I would just say, maybe we want to start over. We want to say, Town Council 16,390. If anyone has any questions, they raise their hand, they say hold. And then we come back to it before we vote on that subtotal.
To the pleasure of the council. If you want to do it subsections, we can do subsections. If you want to do it according to total numbers of general government, public safety, I'd be willing to do
I
it.
think that would be simpler, because I know that there are some issues among some councilors that have certain points that they're objecting to, so.
Okay.
Based on the discussions we've had in various subcommittees, so.
Okay. Councilor DePietro?
Mr. Chair, certainly the simplest to get through this. I mean, I've attended subcommittee meetings, and I would hope that anyone that heard you say the figure you just did, based on what we're voting on right now, does realize that all of these councilors have gone to these committee meetings. I've left as late as 11 o'clock at night, including the town manager. So none of this is taken lightly. But certainly, if there's a question, there's the opportunity to address it. But to reburden the council again with going through this whole...
I would agree.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So my preference would be to do it according to general government, public safety, public works, human services, do it as a major lump sum. And if there's any discussion at that point, we can address a specific budget or a specific line item within that general, whatever that subcategory would be. Rather than going through each little line item, I think let's simplify this project.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting each line, I was suggesting each section.
Yes, and
so
that's
that
what
if
we'll do.
there's,
Yep.
because you just read.
I did.
You read them all anyway, so, but.
So we will.
The finance.
But if I could just make a suggestion, the total appropriations are in that first column. The raise and appropriate amount is after the transfers.
Yes.
So if you want to do it that way, that would be fine, but just if you could just read the appropriation from the first column.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we will do this again. So general government, FY 2018 town budget. The budget for general government, that subsection, is $13,134,399. Do we have any discussion on the general government subsection? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call on general government
You
subcommittee.
want to have what roll call you want? Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
8 yes.
Public safety subsection, $6,303,156. Any discussion, questions, any line items? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Councilor Clements.
Inspections. Nope, wrong department. Go ahead, keep going. I was just looking at inspections. Inspections on.
It is public safety.
No, right. It's under a different, falls under human services. No, I'm good.
It's here.
Right, but that's on.
Oh, the other,
Yeah, that's
okay,
the other
thank
one.
you.
No, I know inspections had some changes, which I wish we had known about ahead of time, but I'm not opposed to those changes. I just felt that that information should have been brought forward so that subcommittee could discuss those changes that were being presented at a budget meeting. They should have been presented prior to a budget meeting so that we had time to understand the concept and what was coming forward. So, thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Eau Claire?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Public Works, $2,123,171.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
8 yes.
That motion carries. Human Services,
So moved.
$1,631,744. We have a motion on the table.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I'm still trying to figure
I-
out where the planner fit in.
This is where we're going to need,
But where is it?
Economic development.
Too many missings.
we're looking for the planner
Where's
position.
planning fall in? Oh, that was in general.
In general government, yes.
Great. You snuck that one in. I'll have my piece on it, that's for sure.
Wait, what was
I would have voted no.
just, what?
Oh, I'll state my comments, if that's okay with you, Mr. Jim?
Absolutely.
So in general government, which is where they hide planning and development, no, they don't hide it, but it's not necessarily, you can't find it, yeah. So for some reason, I was thinking it was coming down into human services. We have you heard about the planner. Yes, the planner was presented in the budget. However, we asked as one of the goals, when we talked about a planner, because some people up here some of the councilors wanted a planner for this community. I'm not saying we don't need a planner, not saying I don't necessarily want a planner, but we did ask for job descriptions and cost and what the impact that would have on this community. And in the budget announcement message that the manager did, he commented that he was adding a planner. That was great, but it still never came to subcommittee. It never came and was discussed. We never got the job description. We never got the cost. We never got the high and the low of the salaries. And then all of a sudden, we were at the Planning and Development budget meeting, and that's when the information came forward that how much they were putting into the budget, and saying it was $40-something thousand, which, because it's a $67,000 position, I believe, or somewhere in there, in that price range. And we were going to replace our existing part-time planner with this full-time planner, and who has not been hired. So technically, the job has not been doled out. But council didn't vote on that. We didn't vote for that planner officially. It wasn't brought forward, and I had a lot of problems with that. And so I really wanted to make that clear. Well, because also there are other areas of need in this community, and I just felt that that was something that had been requested. We have the information prior, wasn't done, and I would have voted no on that budget. It would have passed, but I would have voted no on that budget. I just feel that we need more input sooner on decisions like that, not at a budget meeting when it's been added in and we supposedly can afford it. My comments in the minutes were accurate that the Chair Eau Claire presented in terms of I felt that we were getting too fat at the top. And I don't know how we're going to sustain that with the financial predicaments we're in, contrary to anybody saying that's not true. We have an $800,000 charter school bill coming due also down the road. So I just wanted it to be publicly clear that while a planner is great and can probably do a lot and maybe save us some money down the road, I felt strongly that we as a council should have had time to digest that, and that job should come forward for a vote, because that's technically a reorg. In some ways, it's a full-time position versus a part-time planner that we now have with Ms. Ackley, who basically stepped down from her role as economic development director. So I just wanted I wanted to voice that to the community, that I was very concerned about that position being added when we need additional other positions such as dispatch, because we're running on fumes in that department. So thank you for listening. And
I have a question for Ms. Harnois, because I've gone through this general government sheet here. Where is that position snuck in?
Oops. Under planning board.
So the 69,374 is a reflection of that?
The position is included in that budget.
Okay, thank you.
just in there. And I thought I'd see it.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that
You're
for the
welcome.
record that it was in there. And thank you. So we are back at Human Services. We have a motion and a second. We don't have any do we have any discussion on Human Services? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor DePietro.
Yes.
Councilor Estrada.
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yes.
Councilor Manna.
Yes.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair.
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco.
Yes.
Councilor Clements.
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. Next subsection would be Bay Path, $1,116,255.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Estrada.
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yes.
Councilor Manna.
Yes, but you went out of order, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, because the next one was the Southbridge Public Schools.
No,
You're on here.
I'm doing it this
Oh, I
sheet.
apologize, yes. I'm looking at the
following
book.
the sheet.
Yeah, you're right. The book is the other way around.
I know. It's
I'm looking at the book.
Yeah, it's just backwards.
That's right, same thing, it'll get the same place.
as long as we vote on all of them.
Yes.
They will all be voted on.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair.
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco.
Yes.
Councilor Clements.
Yes.
Councilor DePietro.
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. School Department, $26,786,735.
So moved. Second.
Any questions, discussion on our school budget? Seeing none. No comments? Roll call, please.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yes.
Councilor Manna.
Yes.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair.
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco.
Yes.
Councilor Clements.
Yes.
Councilor DePietro.
Yes.
Councilor Estrada.
Yes.
8 yes.
Sewer Enterprise Fund. No, that's next. That's a separate agenda item. So now we will go into the transfers from other available funds. Sale of street list books, $500. Cable operating, $159,509. Septic loan program, $6,046. Debt service reserve, $680,000. Perpetual care interest, $2,000. Armory debt service reserve, $27,891. Access road debt service, $296,115. Daycare debt service reserve, $9,405. Landfill reimbursement fund, $56,000. Sale of lots and graves, $5,000. Subtotal for transfers from other available funds is $1,242,466. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that section? Councilor Stevenson.
I have a question that I'm not sure if it would go in here or not, but because I don't see it in our document, we probably did talk about it at one point. How much are we getting from the state for state aid, Ron?
Well, there's a variety of different areas you get.
I'm thinking
It
the
wouldn't-
cherry
It wouldn't be
sheet.
interesting. The cherry sheet, there's a variety of different, there's money that comes in for straight Chapter 70 money,
Yeah.
education. You
Chapter
get
70
Chapter
and-
90 money to
and
the
Chapter
transportation.
90
Plus you
and-
get unrestricted general
That's what I'm
reserves,
thinking of,
which is
those
also
three.
in it. Karen, do you know the total of those numbers off the top of your head? I know it's in here under the revenues.
Yeah, I don't remember
But you
what it
know,
was,
you know the breakdown of each one? Actually, I
it's in
think I
your
have it in my book.
presentation.
Yeah, it's in my presentation.
And has
Just
it
one second,
changed
Jess.
any?
No, it has not. Well, that hasn't changed from these estimates.
Oh, I got it.
They're not
Okay.
finalized
I got
with the
it.
budget yet, so we'll see what happens with the finalization of the state budget. But
Okay,
as of
actually,
right now,
I found it, you're right, okay.
I
Yeah,
do
just-
have the numbers. Are you looking for just the state aid numbers?
Yeah, I was. I found it.
He's got it.
Yeah, I'll just cite it for people listening. Chapter 70 is 690,500. Oh no, sorry, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
For FY 2018 is 21,123,574. Unrestricted general aid is 3,514,559. Other minor revenues are 205,355. And I don't know where the minor revenues. Where's Chapter 90? It's not here.
Chapter 90 isn't included in here.
Do you know how much we're getting for that?
I do not know. Heather, do you? No. we don't.
somewhere around 500,000 to 600,000 area, but I'm not exactly. No, down.
Lower than that?
400 something thousand. 400 something thousand.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions pertaining to the available funds from transfers? $1 million.
Mr. Chairman, can I just suggest, we don't need to vote that the transfer number right now. What I would say is we
The bottom
vote
number.
that whole
Okay.
the agenda
So we'll
item
go
as a
down, we'll
whole.
continue with the transfers. Other transfers, Bay Path bond premium, $4,541. So the total general fund budget, $51,095,460. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Diana? Yes. Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro? Yes. Councilor Estrada? Yes. Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Before the town manager makes a comment in regards to the general fund budget, I would like to make a comment because I missed it during my chairman's announcements. I want to thank all the department heads. I want to thank for the long hours. Those meetings were long. The room was hot. The room was cold. We had it all. You know, it was long nights. And once again, this council did its due diligence. Thank you to the department heads for handling our questioning. You know, some questions were tough, some questions were easy, but we answered to a lot of people, and we just want to thank you for the work you do. And thank you to Mr. Town Manager for his work. Mr. Town Manager.
Wow. First, thank you for taking half of what I was going to say. A couple of comments, though. I wanted to make clear in light of some discussions we had earlier. In a presentation that I made of this budget, I had stated something in that presentation, and I want to talk about how important what just happened is to the town of Southbridge, and particularly I want to thank town council for support of this budget. The department heads did, in fact, did a great job. But in 2 years, this town has moved off of dependency on the Casella money by $1,770,000 in the 2 years. We're off of the dependency on that Casella money. First, the $850,000 in free cash from last year's budget, which allowed us now to use free cash to buy capital items instead of Casella money. This year's budget reduces our dependency on the Casella money of $920,000. That's the $1,770,000. I think it's absolutely remarkable that the town council in such a quick period of time has gotten us off of that money. Now, why I wanted to point out particularly is that that $1,770,000, in my mind, would be the most important money that the town utilizes, because that money was actually in our operating budget. Okay, now why is that important? Because that's the money that funds our police department, our fire department, our general different department budget. And had we lost that money 2 years ago, we would have been talking about significant layoffs in a real crisis situation. So now the remaining money, $2+ million of Casella money, while it still comes to the town, is important, and we're somewhat dependent on it. The dependent isn't a need for today. In other words, if we lose that money, it's going to be over time. We're not going to lose it right away. It's not going to impact our departments. It's going to have impact on the town, but it's an impact we can deal with over a longer period of time. It's not an immediate impact. So what you've done is frankly tremendous, and it makes it a little easier to decide, you know, how you're going to vote in the referendum, because at least now the town's not going to be in a crisis situation if that landfill does closes. And you guys just, I can't tell you how much I respect how quickly the town council has made those decisions and gotten us off that dependency. And kudos to the department heads who gave up a lot to get us there by not asking for any increase now for 3 years running. Department heads have gotten essentially, for the most part, 0 increases with the exception of labor costs. So I wanted people to understand that, because I've said repeatedly that if the landfill closes, it could be a financial crisis. This tonight kind of ends the crisis and puts us in a better position to move forward with the town. And you know, again, you guys deserve tremendous credit, and the town department has deserved tremendous credit for putting us in this position.
Thank you. Councilor Mena.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I have a question for the town manager. So that royalty money, we have a lot of retirement funding that we have to do.
A lot of what?
Retirement funding that we have to do. Okay. I mean, this is, we're not talking small chump change. We're talking a lot of money. So you're telling me that our financial crisis is over? I will respectfully disagree with you.
So you're absolutely right. Now let me just explain the difference, right? So the retirement money, we right now, the town puts about $1 million of Casella money, $750,000 of which every year we put into the retirement account you're talking about. The town is currently, like most other towns, in a 20-year payback of unfunded retirement liability from previous years. So what it means is if we lost that Casella money, it means it would take us longer to pay back that unfunded liability. So instead of it maybe being cut to 17 years, we'd have to do it in 20 years. That's an impact on the town. It's painful, but it's not an immediate crisis where if we lost the money, all of a sudden people would have to get laid off or departments wouldn't run. The other part of that $250,000 is what we call OPEB payments, which is other post-employment obligations for things like employee healthcare, retired employee health insurance. That $250,000, we put up almost $1 million into that fund. But you're right, it is important, and if we lost Casella money, we would lose that. But it's not crisis mode. It means that we could deal with that over a longer period of time.
And you know, I respectfully disagree with you when you say that we're not in a financial crisis, because I believe we are. We do have departments that still have needs. We have a community that has been, it seems, ignored over a very long period of time with our buildings and whatnot. We have a police department that's way understaffed, and that was proven by the audit that was done a few years ago. I mean, we should be up to 40 police officers, and we only have 36, you know? I mean, we have a fire department that's fallen apart right across the street, you know? I mean, there's a lot in this community, and I really am a little disheartened to see you up here politicking. And that's what I believe you just did. And that is my opinion, and you don't have to agree with me if you don't want to, but that's my opinion. I just heard you politicking. If your mind should already be more at ease, and you should be easy to go at the polls, is basically what you told the people. So to tell them that we're not in a financial crisis, you know, I am going to respectfully disagree with you on that, because I believe this community is by any means not out of the clear yet. I don't see businesses flocking to this town.
So first, let me agree.
I'm done with the floor, Mr. Chair.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mann, I don't object to allow what you're saying. The town will currently receives $4 million from the landfill royalties, and if you lose that, that's painful. The point of that is, and I absolutely agree with you, the town has a long way to go, and there's a lot of work that still has to be done in a whole series of areas. When I meant what I was trying to describe when I'm defining crisis, it means we don't have to lay off employees. Departments can still run. You're right, we could use more firemen. Our police department, we've added 2, but it still could be bigger. We sure can put more money in education funding.
To the $14,000
there's a lot of things,
that we
right?
done
There's
about 3 years ago.
Yep, there's a lot of things we can do. My point of crisis, and conversation in that respect was that we are not going to have to lay people off. We're not going to be in that kind of a mode. We can operate, and you're right, it's going to take a long time to build up the future, but the crisis in terms of layoffs and stuff is, in my opinion, we're past that.
Thank you. Councilor Claire?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just wanted to comment on what the town manager just went through as well. So, you know, when I came on the council a couple of years ago, it was also, you know, your first year, Mr. Stadangelo, and I think one of, you know, our earliest conversations was getting off of the Casella money, which you were 100% in for, and it was one of the first things that you did was to take that $850,000 of free cash out of the budget, which was addressing a problem that needed to be addressed and should have been addressed, you know. It should have never been a problem. The money should have never been integrated into the operating budget in the first place. And I just want to thank you for the work that you've done. And as far as, you know, a crisis now versus, you know, not having all of the services that maybe we want, there's a difference there. We have a feasibility study that we're going to be doing on the fire department. We have a lot of things that we're working towards and a lot of capital improvements that we're doing. A crisis, the pulse of the community, and a lot of people out in our town think that once the Casella money is gone, that the entire fire department's going to be gone. We have people in these departments that think they're going to lose their job. These are the things that I'm hearing out in the public. Those are crisis items. Those things aren't going to happen now. We might take a little bit longer to pay off some unfunded liability, you know, tighten belt buckles for a little while for the next few years to get through a couple more hurdles. But at no point are the citizens of our town going to see a huge decrease in services. And that is the big concern out there. And that is what people are clamoring about, that we're going to be in the same crisis that we would have been in 3, 4, 5 years ago if all of a sudden the money was gone overnight. And I think that, you know, you, Mr. Manager, and you know, the entire council, you know, has done a really good job over the past couple of years of making that less of an impact and taking the crisis out of the decision. So thank you, and that's all.
Thank you. Councilor Clements?
So I sit here shocked also to hear that we're not in any kind of financial concerns. We're told we need to add 3 dispatchers, 3 shifts. That's going to increase the budget. But we're also told that we have an educational impact of $800,000 next year, and that could go up to over $1 million. So that's an instant $1 million right there. I guess my question is more to Assessor Canoyer. Or actually, I guess, yeah, because he always does our tax. Between him, somebody should be able to assess. Karen, what type of tax increases are we talking to raise $2 million? If we have to come up with another $2 or $3 million, what kind of tax increases would we end up needing?
For $1 million?
Yeah, for $1 million, $2 million, what do you look at?
Well,
I'm just curious. If we had to raise the money, if we have to raise money to fund the extra $1 million for school, for education, for the charter school situation, or for other losses that we take a hit on, what does it take? What's the tax impact?
3.96% this year was $920,000.
Okay, so I'm asking him, not you. Thank you.
Well, no, I get that, but
yeah.
It's just,
so I asked what $2 million would mean. What are we talking for tax increases?
Well,
that's all.
Last year,
if we can say we're not in a financial crisis, I'm asking, for me, I want to know what I'm going to pay for taxes if we are in a financial crisis.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, through you. So last year, our tax levy was $19,194,000. So a 10% increase would be $1,940,000. So about a 10% increase would raise an additional $2 million approximately.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yes, I think, and I'm not going to try to speak for our town manager, but I think that the biggest thing that we're looking at here is that we're attempting to free ourselves up of using free cash to sustain all of our budgetary problems. And I think that we're in a very, very good position to do that. We are probably going to see a tax increase. There's not, that's going to happen, but we still are probably, especially around this whole Central Mass, probably have the cheapest taxes anywhere. And that's because we didn't raise taxes, we relied on free cash, and our town manager has put into play a program to free us up so that we're not dependent upon free cash, and that we can, yes, we do have problems, it's quite obvious, but we're looking to go in the right direction to free ourselves up. It's going to take time, it's going to take good management, it's going to take a great staff, and it's going to take good counselors. But on the same token, I think we're in the right direction, and I think that that's what the town manager meant by we're away from the crisis. Not completely, but we're in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One thing I just wanted to point out is that we're talking about this stuff, and this is this current year, it seems like we're in a fairly good position. We do need to address some of these other issues going forward. And I think one of the big things as far as we were talking about the whole charter school issue, that's going to require, I think that's going to mean we need to get our ducks in a row as a council and as citizens in this town and put pressure on the legislature to refund the way they do charter schools and schools in general. Because there are issues going on in both sides of that issue. We shouldn't have to be using public funds for what essentially are private schools. That is going to bankrupt the school system. That has to stop, and has to stop like now. But there are also issues going on with the state legislature has been debating for, I think, like 2 years now, reformulating the formula of how they fund public schools. And we need to put pressure on them to actually fund that adequately so that we don't have to keep dealing with this issue. Okay? This is a situation where they keep putting down these mandates and these unfunded stuff and all these various liabilities that they just foist on our shoulders as communities. And this isn't just unique to Southbridge, it happens in every community. And so we need some help from people out here in the community, especially, if you're involved in the schools, everybody knows somebody who's in the school system. We need people to stand up and start calling Senator Fatman, Representative Durant, other people, and put pressure on the legislature to actually fund the schools, public education, and, if at all possible, get some more money in there for public aid in general. That will help us deal with a lot of the issues that are coming down pike, help us get more money for the roads, because we can't keep putting it on the shoulders of the taxpayers as a whole when the state has a lot more money at its disposal than we do as a town. And there are people out there who have billions, corporate interests, that are getting tax breaks that they shouldn't be getting because they're walking away with tax money that should be helping fund public services. They benefit from them. They should be paying the bill.
Thank you. Councilor DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been my honor and privilege to be part of this whole system. Subcommittees spend hours on this, and I don't think most of the electorate knows that. I didn't really understand how the system worked until my first year here, to be quite honest, and I'm still learning. While I do agree, yes, every one of these causes, public safety, highway, I had Chief Woodson giggling the other day, and he was looking for everything he can get for his department, and we all agreed, well, yeah, if we had one officer for every bad guy in the street, and we could afford that, we're in good shape. So it's just amazing the amount of time that has to go into trying to put this budget together. Thank you to the town manager and everyone that's involved. In this budget, again, yes, we'd love to do more, but there's so many uncertainties. The charter school certainly is going to give us a kick. We have 2 agenda items coming up on the next election. that are going to put us positive or negative, dollar-wise, which I'm pleased to see, that it's going to the voters. I'm proud to be part of a council that had sense enough to give it to the voters. But I do agree with Councilor Manna, yes. Are we underfunded? Yes, every town's underfunded. But our folks, highway, public safety, water, sewer, they're doing a tremendous amount with very little, and we should be proud of what we have for an infrastructure in this town as compared to most. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further comments? Just for the record, I just want to tell our citizens that this is the fourth budget that I vote on. And this was a difficult budget to vote on. There's a lot of areas where a lot of members of this council disagreed. But this is government. You agree and disagree. And sometimes we have to make decisions that some of us don't deep down inside think it's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, time will tell. But, you know, the last 3 years, our average tax increase has only been 1.79. So, you know, each year, this council takes in consideration the weight that goes to the public. You know, there was 1 year where we didn't raise taxes at all. Then the next year we raised it 2%, and this past year we raised it, you know, 3.9. But, you know, for the last 3 years, our average is 1.79, which is very, very low considering other communities and for the services that we're getting. We have full-time public safety. We have full-time highway. Do we need more? Absolutely. Is our job done for some of these counselors? No. If there's an election coming up, those that come on, roll up your sleeves, because we have a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of things that need to be addressed, and but the general fund budget has been passed this evening. So now we can move on to agenda item number 13, which is vote to appropriate the amount of $3,872,766 for the FY 2018 Sewer Enterprise Fund budget to raise from sewer usage charges and other departmental revenues.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 14, vote to appropriate the amount of $3,254,638 for the FY 2018 Water Enterprise Fund budget to be raised from water usage, user charges, and other department revenues.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steve?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda number 15, vote to reauthorize the lease properties revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to pay repairs, improvements, expenses, and utilities for all town-owned lease properties from lease payments to be deposited in the account, with all expenditures to be approved by the town manager, and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $100,000 per year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please. Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steve?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda number 16, vote to reauthorize the Southbridge Airport Lease Properties Revolving Fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half to pay repairs, improvement, expenses, and utilities for the leased property at the Southbridge Municipal Airport from lease payments to be deposited in the account with all expenditures to be approved by town manager and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $200,000 per year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor McKenzie?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 17, vote to reauthorize the total maintenance revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half to pay for the replacement of lost and/or damaged toters from fees by homeowners and deposited in the account with all expenditures to be approved by the Health Department and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $5,000 per year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor McKenzie?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda number 18, vote to reauthorize the demolition of building revolving fund under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half to pay expenses associated with the demolition of buildings within the town of Southbridge and any revenue recaptured to be deposited into the account with all expenditures from the account not to exceed $185,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Steves.
I mean, I have a question. I don't know if it's through you to Ron or maybe through you to Andy. I remember we were talking a bit about the demolition issue, and we weren't quite sure how much money was still available from the last time we funded it. So how much is actually sitting in our accounts now for this?
To you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
So first of all, two different issues. This issue is really about if we had a lien on a property, we
Yeah.
ripped it down, and this would be payback to that lien. So
Yeah, I
that's
know.
this account. There's less
Yeah.
than $6,000 in this account.
Okay.
The money you're talking about, we're going to be bringing to
General government.
I just had to think about which committee. General government, we're going to be talking about that. Right now, there's a little over $500,000 in that account, and we're going to be explaining the plan that we're going to be moving forward with buildings we're taking down at the next general government meeting.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
Counselor McKenzie?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 19, vote to reauthorize the Municipal Hearing Officer Revolving Fund under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half to pay expenses associated with the administration and collection of fines in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 148A and Chapter 115 of the Acts of 2009, such fines to be deposited in the account with all expenditures to be approved by the town manager and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $2,500.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor McKenzie?
Yes.
Counselor Manna?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor O'Clair?
Yes.
Counselor Carrasco?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor DePietro?
Yes?
Counselor Estrada?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 20, vote to reauthorize the Southbridge Middle/High School School Store Revolving Fund under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half to pay expenses associated with the school store from receipts to be deposited into the account with all expenditures to be approved by the school superintendent and total expenditures from the account not to exceed $30,000 per year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I have one comment. I would like to, I know there might be some technical issues with this, but I don't see why we have to do maintenance on a school store when the school has a finance team. So I don't know if that can be explained for the public, why we have this revolving fund. I don't know if it was just because in the past, certain situations happened, but
If I could, this is actually just to be able to purchase and sell items in the school store.
But it-
So things like apparel or supplies and different things like that, that's all it is.
but I just don't see why the town would have to, is it necessary, or, because, I mean, they're doing all the maintenance on it, so.
I think, Mr. Chairman, it's because because we are the council, we have to approve creating revolving funds.
Yeah, I got you.
We don't handle any money. This has nothing to do with maintenance at all.
Chair, the reason why this is on the docket this evening is because this revolving fund, when it was established, whenever was established under Chapter 44 and not under Chapter 71, which is primarily solely education.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada? Yes. Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda number 21, vote to amend Schedule 1 to approve provisional changes and non-union raises 2% effective July 1st, 2017 as proposed.
So moved.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda number 22, vote to amend Schedule 5 to approve potential changes and 2% increases effective July 1st, 2017 as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor O'Clair?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes?
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda number 23, Councilors Forum. We'll start with Councilor McKenzie.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of quick things. First of all, I just wanted to reiterate what we talked about earlier at the very beginning, that voter registration deadline is Wednesday, this Wednesday, the 24th at 8 p.m. So if you aren't registered to vote, hopefully you care enough to get out and vote, because it's really important at the local level. That's where you have the most impact, and 1 or 2 votes makes a difference at the local level. You hear vote of elections swaying by a handful of votes frequently, which does not occur at the federal level at all. So anyway, so definitely come out and vote. Again, the deadline is Wednesday at 8 p.m. The town clerk's office will be open late that night for the election on June 13th. Also, I wanted to point out that Relay for Life is June 9th and 10th this year. And for those of you who go outdoors a lot, I know that Maureen and I were out doing a site visit for Concom a couple of days ago, and there were oodles and oodles and oodles of ticks everywhere. So make sure you watch out for those where, try to wear long pants if you're out in the woods and things like that, and, use some common sense and make sure you check yourself when you get home and check that stuff so that to get them off you, because you definitely do not want to get Lyme disease or any of the other dozens of things that ticks carry, because some of them are very nasty. So just make sure, try to prevent what you can. Also, I wanted to point out that tentatively, and I need to clarify exactly what goes on with this one, there's tentatively time capsule interment for the bicentennial on June 17th. As far as I know, that's still going, although I haven't had a chance to attend one of the bicentennial meetings recently because of subcommittees mostly. So keep your eyes open for that. We'll be putting the time capsule in the ground to be dug up another 50 years, and it'd be interesting to see what people think of when they find this stuff then. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No comment tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I have a couple things tonight. Yes, Tuesday, June 13th, there's election, and local elections matter the most. They matter more than state, and they matter more than federal because it affects you directly. You, like Councilor Steve says, it's up to you to make that difference. So I urge you, if you didn't register to vote, to go ahead and do so before the deadline and exercise your right to vote. I could go through the list. Many, many people died for your right to vote, and there's been many amendments on that in our in our Bill of Rights. So also, I hear so much in regards to question 1 that's going to be on the ballot. Councilor Clements tonight did mention that there's other questions that's going to affect you also, the marijuana questions that are on there for the businesses and whatnot. And tonight, we heard from some of the citizens who are against the question 1. Now, I did say I wasn't going to sit up here and try to persuade anybody to vote yes or to vote no, but I am going to persuade you to do your homework and to get educated on the questions, and don't listen to everything you hear and take it at face value, because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and if it sounds really, really horrible and like tomorrow the world's going to end, then it's probably not going to happen. So I would suggest that you make your phone calls to people who are educated in the areas of this matter. I encourage you very much to do that. And I will say this, Casella is a business in this town. And, you know, they were hired to come in, and at the time, I was not a town councilor. Heck, 10 years ago, when I started getting involved in town, I didn't even know we had a landfill in town. Until there was a crack house on my street, and one of the detectives told me, sorry, it took us so long to get here for you, but we were dealing with the landfill protests, which is understandable. They got to keep the peace. And that's when I'm like, oh, we got a landfill? I didn't know. So, from what I understand, Casella was hired to come in and take over the problems that were created by past administration, past councilors, past town managers, whoever they were. There were some problems. You know, Casella is a business that wants to do business in our town, and they're doing everything, you know, within their right to bring this to the people, and they want to hear from everyone, not just the vocal minority. And I'm going to continue to say that because we don't hear but a small minority come up here. When I've done canvassing in the past, I've heard people talk positive things about, you know, Casella. I didn't, you know, and I heard people talk negative things also. But it wasn't all negative. If we lose that $4 million, we are going to be losing a lot of money. And to say that the financial crisis is over, malarkey. It's not over. Like some councilors mentioned up here, we do. We have the charter school, and I heard the town manager say, this is a huge thing. We're going to be losing almost $1 million. Well, we also got school choice. That's almost over $2 million, or close to $2 million. We got the special education buses and stuff. That's almost $2 million. We got a school that's in crisis. We're at level 5 for the schools. We have been taken over by receivership. We got, a fire department that's falling apart. We got roads. We come down Main Street. For crying out loud, I feel like I'm like going through a canyon or something. There's a lot that this community's facing. And to say that, that money won't be missed, well, it's going to be missed. And you, the taxpayers, are going to be paying for it in the end. And all I can say is do your homework, get educated on the question, and make an informative decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Eau Claire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just wanted to thank, all of the department heads again for, coming through with the budget and all of your hard work that everybody did with that. I also wanted to talk about, get out and vote. Question, there's 5 questions on the ballot. question one is obviously the landfill question, and I also, think that everybody should go out and get as informed and educated as possible. A couple years ago, 2 years ago now, a little over 2 years ago now, I was elected, and I was elected to, for a lot of different reasons, but one specifically is to protect the financial well-being of this town. Castell is a business, and they operate as a business that's looking for profits. 10 years ago, they stood at that podium in televised meetings stating that the landfill would last us until 2027. And they made assertions that went against their own reports that they had, hoping that, the council at the time or the administrators at the time wouldn't catch on to, the CDM report that stated that it wasn't actually within the existing landfill that would bring us to this 2027, but it was a significant expansion beyond this existing landfill. There are a lot of representations that, this business has made over the years, and they are not coming to fruition. I personally don't feel comfortable approving an additional contract with a company that has fallen as short as this company has fallen. They bailed the town out of some significant hardships, with after wood recycling, and I think, there's a lot of us up here that are very thankful for everything that they have done for the town, but in the interest of the financial well-being of the town and its future, I don't believe that allowing them to extend above and beyond their initial promises is something that is going to behoove the town. It isn't going to, take us to where we need to get. And for that reason, among others, I urge you all to do your homework and get educated on this issue. Also, questions 2 through 5 are just as important. We have, I've been, in talks in the community, and there is a proposed, or somebody that's looking to put a grow facility or a production facility for marijuana into the town of Southbridge that could generate revenue going forward. And putting this question on the ballot and trying for a redo, since we just voted on this in a positive way in November, is going to stifle potential businesses from coming in, and specifically, one that is already, in negotiations to come in. So do your homework, vote no. Thank you.
Councilor DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, and several councilors brought it up, this is a very important election. It goes beyond personal opinion. There's going to be ramifications to the town financially based on how several of these items go. And everyone should take that into consideration. But your vote counts. And if you're at the coffee shop the day after the election and you didn't show up there and you got a gripe, shame on you. I'm sitting here because a little over 300 people out of this whole town put me in this chair. So that's how little it takes to sway something this huge. There's going to be some new faces on council. I hope that you're voting on their integrity rather than their agendas. I'm very pleased to work with the folks that I'm sitting next to today. I think we've been a very effective council. I'm going to miss some of you that have no choice. But keep that in mind when you're voting. And the time capsule. And honest to goodness, if I'm misinformed, we still have not found our time capsule from 1966, have we?
No. Nobody knows where it is.
So I would hope that somebody records where we bury this damn one.
We've got a piece of granite we're going to put on top of it, so yes, we'll know where this one is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Clements.
Thank you. So we had a citizen mention that we should be a council of 13. I just wanted to comment that most communities, first off, we're too big. We should be a council of 7. Most communities are 5 and 7, and selectmen run 3 to 5. The bigger is not always better, and we used to be a larger council and it's hard enough just dealing with 9. So I think we're good where we are for now. I don't see any need to change anything, but I just wanted to mention that most communities are dealing very effectively with 5 and 7 members. Let's see. The next senior luncheon is June 5th, Monday, June 5th. It's a great opportunity to get out there and mingle with people and learn some things about your community and enjoy a nice lunch at the Senior Center, better known as the Community Center on Chestnut Street. The number is listed in the phone book if you want more information, and it's also on the town website for how to get in touch with them. So I suggest you go out and get active. Maybe you'll meet a new friend, do an exercise class. Who knows? Let's see, the time capsule, that came up at general government, and I know it was in minutes, but I don't believe the manager was still there when we talked about it. First off, Councilor Steves, I'm asking, did you draft a letter that you talked about doing for the council? Ah, okay. And they did ask, Francine had asked if, because she said she has come to you, Francine Farland was asking you to write something for the time capsule, Mr. Manager. That's okay. I'm not going to argue whether she did or didn't. They would like a little note of some sort to put in the town capsule. So it just hit me while it came up tonight, so I thought I would mention it. Let's see. I would like to, again, personally thank Rick Nash for all the work he's done on the various subcommittees over the years, many years since I've been on council, 8, and especially this year in general government. He's well attended and always has great input and is very good to get back to me in terms of minutes and such. So I just want to thank you, Rick, for all your extra activity that you've done this year for us. And let's see, I'm making notes today in all different ways. You know, it was said that Memorial Day is coming up. It's this weekend. And it's a great time to not only honor the veterans, but it's become a tradition, of course, for a lot of us to just honor those who've passed, whether they were veterans or not. But it certainly is a time for reflection and for honoring those who have served our country and beyond. And I hope you get a chance to come out, perhaps participate in the festivity, or I hate to say festivities, I think I got in trouble once for that. Participate in the ceremonies that the town will host on Monday. Walk in the parade or just wave to the men and women that are going through. It's very generous of our departments, our police, our fire come out and make sure that that's a wonderful event for all, along with our veterans agent and everybody else who makes sure that we do the right thing for our vets on Memorial Day. So take a moment of your time if you don't get out, say a prayer for somebody, or just a good wish to the families of those that are still serving. It's a very important day in the United States, and I hope you take a moment and appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you. Just in that token, before...
I'm always doing that.
Go for it.
This is not the nice... I wanted to... It's up here in my notes. I'm sorry. A comment was made tonight about AeroVenture, and I'm going to speak my piece.
Thank you.
As somebody... Why not? I understand that, but I don't know that. AeroVenture did leave, and never once in all the times that I was friends or thought I was friends with these people, who I befriended, I helped. Not only did we stain and rake and mow and help things to get them going up there personally, my husband, myself, my family members, to find that they were gone in the middle of the night. Not one time did they ever say to me, and I spent a lot of time with them, that the landfill was an issue. So I find it offensive that they would write such an excuse. And I find it deplorable that what they did. But it's my understanding and research that they have a history. And it's a shame we just weren't knowledgeable to that before they did it to us. So perhaps they're still going to work with the schools. I wouldn't know. I certainly hope they hold true to that. And perhaps they're going to work with Bay Path, like they said, and everybody else. But I personally am offended by whatever email was gotten, because I can assure you, while there may have been concerns that were trying to be worked out, what they did to this community is just deplorable. That didn't sound right. Is deplorable from a business perspective, and that certainly is not a professional way to treat anybody. And that is my personal business opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to agenda item number 24, I just received a text message to just take a moment and just a moment of silence to remember the life of Officer Ron Tarantino. Today is his one-year anniversary. Many communities, Leicester, Auburn, we're all holding memorial services in his honor. And we just want to take a moment of silence and also honor our police and first responders. Thank you. And just also that I forgot, Red Baron Dinner, Airport Diner. Dinner. I'm thinking about dinner. I haven't had it. The Airport Diner is tentatively scheduled to open on June 1st. That's next week. So breakfast all day, lunch. So June 1st, our Airport Diner will be up and running. So go check it out. Agenda item number 24.
Next meeting date, that would be Monday, June 5th, 2017, 7 p.m. in council chambers. Thank you.
Agenda item number 25, vote to enter into executive session according to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on government litigation position, and the chair so declares, and return to open forum to vote.
Mr. Chair, if I may, as it's going on 10 o'clock, and I'm one of the younger ones here, so it's not past my bedtime as yet, but I find that we go into executive session this late after this long an agenda, and all due respect to the chair, just sometimes you do put a lot of stuff all in one little package for us on one night, and we do end up with some councils that actually have to walk out of executive session. And I'm wondering, items as important as this, if we shouldn't consider as a council rescheduling.
Due to time concerns and time limits, we're not going to be able to reschedule this. That's why it's on this agenda tonight. And it should be quick. As long as everybody gets through that door timely, we can start right away.
Oh, understandably, but there's little time for deliberation for an issue like this. Well, my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor DePietro?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor McKenzie?
Yeah.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Steves? Councilor Claire?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. We'll be back.
I'm going to have to think about that one, Council.
Good evening. We're back from executive session. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor by hand vote?
Let's go.
Good night. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.